Yeah, well, this is the proverbial walk in the woods where they carve out a kind of private space. When you walk with someone, you can have silence for a little while, and then you can restart the conversation. Again, it's a different. I think a lot of the staging is trying to give them different settings in which they can talk. You know, because you talk in a different way when you're sitting across a conference table, and your teams are there than when you're alone. You talk differently when you take a walk in the woods. You know, so I think this is putting them in different kind of perspectives. Obviously, the camera's still on them, so this is a false privacy, and yet we are still at a remove, and they create that kind of veil where they're able to talk. Yeah, I didn't notice the foreign ministers at the last picture. I don't know if that was planned, if they're having a tete-a-tete, or if I just missed it. But in that group photo,
Foreign Minister.
I didn't see Foreign Minister Ryong-ho or Foreign Minister Kang, so I don't know if they're if that was scheduled or if they're having a sideline bilateral, or if I just missed it.
I didn't see them either. We'll have to double check on that.
This, I guess, is the bridge that was expanded.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, it's called the Footbridge. Now, isn't that a rare sight? The leaders of the two Koreas crossing the footbridge at the JSA in the DMZ.
Yeah, and to watch it live, and obviously this was all pre-approved, and so again we're seeing different. We need to keep adjusting our understanding, our expectations, in particularly of Kim Jong-un, because he's, as you see, he's a young leader, one of the youngest in the world, but he's had 6 years. You can't call him young and inexperienced anymore. He is still young, but he's not inexperienced. But he's new to diplomacy, to this kind of high-level diplomacy, and you can see his comfort zone. This is not a typical North Korean comfort zone. Let me tell you, he is way outside of the North Korean box right now, and he's fine with it, and they're covering it. And whenever, if it's tomorrow or the next day, this is going to be. These images are going to be on the front page of the Norong Shimun, and North Korean coverage, and so that does force us to reassess who we're dealing with, and the kind of possibilities that exist with him.
We've definitely seen a different side to him in the last few months. Very outgoing, meeting with the South Korean envoy, meeting with President Xi Jinping, seeming much more comfortable being outside of his inner circle and outside of staged events in North Korea. Definitely gives off an appearance of being much more in control and and comfortable in his own skin. So we don't hear in the media, and we don't hear from analysts much more as we had in the past. That this is very much chaos and on the brink of collapse government inside Pyongyang. There seems to be more of a general sense that Kim is very much in control of what's happening now.
I think that a reflection of confidence. All of this is a reflection of Kim Jong-un's confidence in himself, I think.
Because one of my questions has always been why now? Why the pivot now? Particularly if he's looking for a deal, a nuclear deal with the U.S., he's not likely to get a deal with President Trump that he could not have gotten with President Obama 2 or 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. But perhaps he and his power base within Pyongyang was not ready yet at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote something for the Washington Post recently, just last week, kind of exploring that theme, Brian, and about why is this happening now, arguing that it's a combination of Kim's domestic confidence that he's consolidated power. Because we know by North Korea's own admission that there was serious factional struggle. The arrest of his uncle Jang Song-taek, again, by North Korea's own, the extensive, detailed reports they put out, that there was a very intense power struggle. And that's what led to the uncle's arrest and execution.